welcome back to my Practically Imperfect Life. Today I am going to go over my goals and intentions for the month of September. I like making these videos, one, because I feel like it helps hold me accountable, right? To know that you guys know what it is I'm aiming to try to get done this month, it just gives me that extra motivation to make sure that I'm really trying to achieve those goals. And also I hope it motivates you, whether you have one goal for the month or 10 goals for the month, to be able to continue working on those day to day. So I break down my goals into 4 categories. I have home, personal, family, and homeschool. So we'll do just a quick recap of what I did in August for all of those categories and what I'm aiming to do in September. So I'm actually going to start today off with the family goals. Now in August, I wanted to get a trip to Texas planned, in part to visit my brother who lives down in San Antonio with his wife, but also to start doing some college tours for my oldest. So my daughter has expressed interest in looking at some out-of-state schools, but she's narrowed it down to just 2 states, Florida and Texas. And so we thought this would be a great opportunity to, 2 birds, 1 stone, right? We'd get down to Texas, we'd see a lot of different parts of it. She's always wanted to visit the state. We'd see my brother and his wife and have a nice visit with them, but we'd also get a chance to see some colleges. So in August, we wanted to get that trip planned, and I did do that. We have the map, of where we're going on what days done. We've got all of the hotels booked. We have got college tours planned for 5 different places, and I'm really excited. I let her pick out the schools. We basically narrowed it down to make sure that they had good golf programs, and we've got a good variety of schools that we're looking at. We're looking at small private schools, larger private schools, some mid, large, and uber large public schools. Some are right inside cities, some are more in college towns. So I feel like even if she didn't apply to any of these schools in the long run, it's really good for her to get a chance to see such a big variety. And that would really help her when she is, narrowing down choices of where it is she'd like to apply to in the future. Now, originally it was going to be me and both of my kids going down. But my son has said that he really doesn't have any interest in any of the Texas schools. And he didn't really want to do a long road trip where it was going to be a lot of college tours if they weren't schools that he was really all that interested in. So he has decided he's going to go stay with one of his grandmas for the week, one who just needs a little more help around the house. And he's going to basically spend the week helping her out with projects and things that she needs done kind of around her home and her yard. So I figured that'll be a good week for him. And then my mom wanted to come down with us because, of course, she wants to see my brother as well. So we are going to do a little girls road trip. It'll be my daughter, my mom, and I. And we do plan to vlog while we're traveling. So I think that'll be a lot of fun. I think you guys will love my mom because she is just such a hoot and so much fun. And she and I have both been to Texas multiple times, but it'll be Emma's very first trip to Texas, and I think she is going to fall in love with it while we're traveling. So really excited about that. And then our other goal for August was to have kind of an impromptu family gathering. And it is scheduled, and by the time this video goes up, it should already have happened, weather permitting, but we invited pretty much all of the family and a couple of really good family friends to come over. We're just planning a casual cookout with a whole bunch of really good food. I've had so much stuff kind of coming out of the garden. So I've started kind of handing things off to family members. My dad is going to make one thing with tomatoes. My mom's going to make something with potatoes. I'm going to harvest the last of the corn. And we'll just have all different kinds of things to eat and get to sit outside, enjoy the new pergola, enjoy the garden and each other's company. And I think it'll be really awesome to do. So excited to do that. So what are my family goals for the month of September? Well, since my son is not planning on coming to Texas with us, I want to make a special effort to do kind of a mother-son outing with him. And it doesn't have to be anything crazy expensive or anything like that, but just really plan some time for just him and me to get a chance to go and do something together. Whether that's an activity he chooses that he'd like the 2 of us to do, or even just going out and doing some, clothes shopping, because that kid grows an inch every time he closes his eyes, so nothing fits anymore. Just something that's just the 2 of us. I feel like it's really important to make the effort with both of them. And to be fair, I do a ton of stuff with my daughter, since I'm her troop leader and everything. So we do a lot of traveling and camping and stuff like that together for that. I think it's just really important. I need to make sure that I'm putting as much effort into time with my son as I am with my daughter. So want to make sure that we plan something special for just him and I to go and do. And then my second family goal is kind of going to seem silly, but we have got family pictures scheduled for the month of October. Now, we have been longtime JCPenney family portrait people. I don't think we have any family portraits that weren't taken at good old JCPenney. You know, ever since the kids were babies, that's just where we went. And to be honest, that's because that's what was in the budget, right? Not to say that they weren't good pictures. I feel like they did a fine job, but there is a difference between that, and these fantastic photographers who do these wonderful outdoor shoots and things like that. So that's actually what we have booked. We have an outdoor family photo shoot planned for early October, and we've never done one like that. And I am fashion challenged, so I messaged the photographer and I'm like, please help me. How do I decide what we're gonna wear? And she sent me all of these kind of like Pinterest inspiration boards and things like that. So this month I need to figure out what it is we're all gonna wear for our family portraits. So I know it sounds really silly, but it's kind of stressing me out because we're spending so much money on the photo shoot and then the pictures afterwards that I wanna make sure that everything works and that nobody shows up hating their outfits. So I've also talked to Emma. She's been trying to help me put together color palettes, and she said she'd go shopping with me so we could get some things picked out. And my husband just said, just tell me what to wear, what time to show up, and I'll do it. So so getting like our outfits all coordinated and figured out and put together, that's a big goal for September. Okay, next category is personal goals. So one of my personal goals was to get back into my normal exercise routine. So it was 4 days a week of working out, at least 2 of cardio and 2 of weightlifting. And I was successful in doing that in August. And I'm actually going to continue that same goal into September, partly because I just don't feel like it's like an effortless part of my schedule yet. I still have to like make sure it's on my to-do list. I have to kind of like tell myself, all right, you gotta go do this, and like, I'm not quite motivated about it. I mean, I'm doing it, but I'm not like loving that I'm doing it yet. And, habits take a while to build back up, right? If you stop doing something that was a habit, it doesn't mean it's going to come back, naturally. So I want to continue that goal into September, make sure that I'm trying to stick to that schedule until it just feels a little more, I don't know, just a little more routine, like like an easy part of the day, that I know is going to happen. I don't have to sit there and kind of like force myself to do it day to day. So my other personal goal for August was to try to pare down the to-do list instead of having so many things on it that it seemed overwhelming. And that I have gotten so much better at. I limit myself. I put 10 things on the to-do list max. And if I get all 10 of those things done, fantastic. I go to my little whiteboard where I have all of my kind of many different things that I know I'm going to need to do at some point, and I will pull something off of there and get it done. I have felt just much less stressful by doing that. It's been just a breath of fresh air to know that I can actually manage the things that I'm telling myself I need to do. It's not just this massive, out of control, crazy to-do list. So that really got me thinking about how can I kind of build on that as I go into September. And ever since we got back from our Europe trip, my wake sleep schedule has just been different from what I'm used to. I was a long time night shift nurse for a long time. So I've always been a night owl. It's not unusual for me to be up at 1, 2, 2:30, 3, wide awake working on stuff because I was so used to being up those hours. And then I was just not a morning person. But when we got back from Europe, Europe is so many hours different. So I was waking up at like 5 a.m, like bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and then falling asleep in my chair at like 9:15 at night. So while it's adjusted a little bit back towards normal, I mean, I'm not waking up at 5, but I'm still waking up by 6, and I'm not falling asleep, at 9 p.m. So it's adjusted a little bit. I'm still getting up much earlier than before. And when I'm thinking about, how I can be really productive with the things on my to-do list, I realize that I need to utilize those morning hours better. I mean, my kids are getting up between like 6:30 and 7, and they are pretty much jumping into their independent work first thing in the morning. And that's just the rhythm that they like. They want to get started on those things. And so that gives me just a little bit of leeway to have kind of that first hour and a half of my day to tackle stuff. Now, if I'm not careful, I will sit down with a cup of coffee and I will scroll Instagram for an hour and a half, and I will get absolutely nothing done. But on the mornings when I have motivated myself and just said, okay, well, we're going to get up, we're going to start the coffee, and then we're going to start jumping into things, I find that I am checking off 4 or 5 things from my to-do list, like right off the bat of the day. And that feels so good to get those things done and just start the day feeling really productive. So I want to try to make that more of a habit in September. Really try to focus on making sure that I'm making those mornings count. And then my last little personal goal for September is to get some fun reading done. I did not get very much personal reading done in August. We were just so busy with trying to get all of the school reading done and getting into the routine of school. I only finished 1 book all the way, and that was Eternal, which, by the way, if you've not read it, you should. It's a fantastic book. It's a World War II novel, but it's set in Italy. So it's talking about what was going on in Italy during World War II and the years leading up to World War II and during the war. And we get the perspective of different people, including a Jewish family. And I really didn't know anything about what was going on in Italy during World War II. Every World War II book I've read previously had been set either in England or in like Austria, Poland, Germany. So this is the first one I've read. We're focused on Italy, and it was really fascinating, and I learned a lot. It was a great book, but I didn't get a whole lot else read. I started reading The Life-Giving Table by Sally Clarkson. Love Sally Clarkson. I can't read them. I can't read her books start to finish because then I start to feel guilty that I'm not doing all of the things in her books. So I read them little increments at a time, and I try to take everything in and think about what things I can actually implement. So I want to finish that, but I do want to show you that a book that I got recently that I'm really excited to try to get to in September. So I got this book off of Amazon, The Echo of Old Books by Barbara Davis. It came up under a recommendation list, and I thought, well, it sounds pretty interesting. And so what it is we got a rare book dealer who can feel the echoes of the book's previous owners, an emotional fingerprint only she can read. And it says she finds a pair of beautifully bound volumes that have never been published. Her gift becomes an obsession. Not only is each inscribed with startling incrimination, but the authors, Hemi and Bell, tell conflicting sides of a tragic romance. So I believe the story kind of goes back and forth between her perspective and then what was actually going on in this long-term romance between these 2 individuals. So I don't know, it sounds like an interesting story. So I'm hoping to get this done during the month of September. If I only get 1 personal book done this month, that'll be okay. Once you see the stack that I have to read for getting prepared for school, you'll understand. So that makes for a good transition over to homeschool goals. So in August, I wanted to make sure I had gotten all of the lesson plans kind of tweaked and figuring out like how many days a week we were going to do different subjects and how I was going to kind of break things down. And I feel like the way we've got it going now is working really well. I'm hopeful that we won't have to make too many adjustments as we go through this kind of first quarter of the school year. The kids seem to be getting their work done in a reasonable amount of time. Nobody seems overwhelmed. So I think it's going okay. We also got things prepped for our first day of school. You probably saw it. I had a day in the life where I did like gift bags for the kids, just some fun things, pajamas and treats and things like that. My son got a Spider-Man onesie pajama set, which he's been wearing around, and my daughter has been trying to figure out how to get herself one as well. But they really enjoyed that. It was just a fun first day of school thing that I do. And then we did like a big European style breakfast, which everybody enjoyed. And then my other August goal was to get my daughter signed up for an SAT prep program. So we did get her signed up. And originally I was going to do like an end of August video showing you how it was going, but we really didn't get started on it until so late in August that I didn't feel like she'd had enough time with it for me to give you a good review of it. So I do have that planned for later on in September. That way I can get her feedback after she's gotten through about 4 or 5 weeks of the program, and I'll share at that time which one we did and whether or not I recommend continuing with it and things like that. So we did get that part done. So for September, we'll be getting through the first 6 weeks of school as we get near to our Texas trip. So what I had done previously was kind of worked ahead, you know, making sure I was reading the stuff that the kids were going to be doing the first 6 weeks of school. I got, you know, worksheets printed off and materials kind of gathered and all of that stuff. I did that for the first 6-week block of school. So right about the time we go to Texas, we will be coming back and getting ready to start weeks 7 through 12. And what I want to do is make sure that I have that prep work done before we go to Texas, because the last thing I want to do is get back late from that trip, you know, exhausted, because it's going to be a lot of driving and it's going to be like nonstop activity while we're gone, and then have to dive into doing school prep and trying to get things read and trying to get things copied and materials gathered. So I want to make sure that I am taking the time to work ahead now, get things pre-read that I need to do in order to be, you know, prepared to help the kids and to kind of keep up with what they're doing. Make sure that I'm looking ahead for like recipes and hands-on activities and experiments and things that we're getting, because we have those in our guest hollow programs. We've got them in their science curriculums, and just kind of making sure that we're just ready to go, that everything's just here. Anything that needs to be ordered has been ordered. And the reason why I only thought I could get one fun book done this month is because the reading list for the next 6-week block is kind of on the heavy side. I've got a couple larger books for all 3 of their guest hollow programs. So my daughter's got government econ, my son's got world history. They both are doing chemistry in the kitchen. And then my daughter will be getting ready to start module 2 of her excellence in literature. And there is a novel for her to read, plus an honors book for that month. So I need to make sure that I am looking ahead at both of those so I can better grade her papers. So I won't tell you details about all of the books, but I did stack some of the books that I'm going to have to read here. And I thought I would just show them to you just so you can get an idea of pretty much where all my spare time is going to be this month. All right, so here we go. For excellence in literature, my daughter's primary novel for module 2 is The Canterbury Tales. I have not read this since high school, but gonna try to tackle it again. Her honors book is Pierce the Plowman, which I have never read. And apparently it was one of the most widely read books of its day. So we will get those done so I can help her with that. And then my son, for his world history course, he's moving into kind of like ancient Rome studies. So I have Augustus Caesar's world, the Celts and all that. 24 hours in ancient Rome. I think this one sounds really interesting. It takes you through the different hours of the day, but from the perspective of different people from different classes and different jobs in ancient Rome. So I've heard good things about this. I'm excited to read it. And then for government and econ, my daughter's course, she is going to be reading a book called The Fallacy Detective, kind of logic studies, right, and critical thinking, and then how to turn $100 into $1 million. So I don't know, I think mom should read this one. And then she'll be doing a study of 1984. I've read 1984, I think twice. I read it once in school, and then I read it once as a young adult. So this will be my 3rd time reading it, but you know, there's lots of good stuff in there. And then for chemistry in the kitchen, we're continuing kind of working slowly through the Culinary Reactions book, which I have really enjoyed reading. I've also really enjoyed Napoleon's Buttons from that book. Even if your kid's not taking the course, it's just a fun one to read. But we're going to read about Louis Pasteur, and then Salt, A World History, and then Bad Science, Quacks, Hacks, and Big Pharma Flax. So I don't know. These all look like they're fun and interesting books. I don't know about fun, but they look like they're really interesting books. And if the book is interesting, usually I can sit and do some long spells of reading and enjoy that. All right, last category is home. So food preservation was a big part of August goals, getting everything from the garden canned and done. We canned 24 quarts of pickles, 20 plus cans of tomato sauce. Then we did diced tomatoes. We canned green beans. We froze broccoli, we froze potatoes. I mean, we did so much food preservation, and we still aren't even in apple season yet. So we have that coming along. And then we wanted to get the fall crops in, and that did happen. So I've got spinach, I've got leaf lettuce going, I've got cauliflower, another round of broccoli. The only thing still to put in the ground for fall is garlic, but it's still too early for us to get that in the ground. And then getting our front porch worked on was another goal. So that's kind of where the kerfuffle that was August happened. So we took a look at the porch and found that there was actually a whole section where there was like some structural instability, either from water damage or like an old beehive or something like that, and realized quickly that that was going to be beyond my ability to do on my own. I mean, YouTube shows me a lot of things, but I did not want to mess with the structure. So I contacted someone who does porch remodeling. In fact, he had done some work for my brother, and it just was like a big scheduling issue. Like when I was available, he wasn't, and vice versa. And so it took almost till the end of the month before we could actually get him here to look at it and give me an estimate and then give me a time frame. So we have that, and hopefully we can make that happen still this fall. Says it's only about a day and a half worth of work for him, which is probably far less time than it would have taken me to do it. So I did end up kind of pushing that project off. Now, instead, I did get 2 things done inside the home that have been goals forever. We got crown molding put up in our kitchen, which has needed done since we did the kitchen remodel, and we got some cord round put around all of the floors because we had like gaps where we had put in our vinyl plank flooring and where our baseboards ended, and it just never got finished. And so all of that is done. And even though they're small things, right? Like, you know, most people walk into the house and they don't realize it, but I had realized it, and it had been driving me nuts forever. To have those done was a really nice thing. So we got a home project done. It just wasn't the home project that I was originally planning, but that's life, right? So September, so technically the porch kind of got pushed to September, but we are farming that out to a professional now. So what I can tackle in the house, I really need to tackle the pantry. So I have a walk-in pantry that I utilize not only for our family storage, but also for all of my cake business supplies. And I had done it initially when we first built the walk-in pantry, and I've been kind of living with it for a while and seeing like what's worked and what's not worked, but it really just kind of needs to have everything pulled out, everything needs to be cleaned, and then there's some definite tweaks that need to be made to better organize things. So I've ordered some things off of Amazon that I feel will be helpful to add to the storage. And once those come, I will probably take you guys along in a video just showing you, what it is I'm going to be doing and how I'm going to try to get everything organized and fit a lot of things into this space, but in a way that makes sense and makes them all easily accessible. So really excited to tackle that project this month. And then the last goal for September is to work a little bit on our fall outdoor reset. So we're going to have some hot days the first week of September. I mean, our 10-day forecast has us up in like the 90s. So it's definitely going to stay hot for a little bit, but very quickly we're going to start to get much cooler at night. The hours of daylight are going to get shorter, and it's going to be time to take all of those gorgeous annuals out of the pots in the ground. And I'm going to be so sad to see them go because they've been just glorious. So part of fall reset for us means pulling things out of the pots, and then I do plant up fall containers, pulling up annuals and doing some remulching, and then of course completely clearing out the vegetable garden beds, including that pumpkin patch, and getting all of that cleared up. We did harvest like 40 pumpkins the other day, and they are curing in the garage. And there are still more out there, but there's just, a lot of kind of fall buttoning up that needs to be done in the garden. So we want to make sure we get those things done. Okay, so that actually turned into quite a list. When I was first writing them down, I didn't think it looked like a crazy list of goals. It was only like 2 things per category. But when you read them off to people, it seems like more. But in reality, most of these goals are things that, should be able to be accomplished in a reasonable amount of time. There's only a few that might be multi-day projects. I think my one struggle this month will be the fact that I've really only got about 3.5 weeks to really work on these because we're going to be gone traveling the whole last month of September. So we'll see how we do. I will keep you guys updated, and if I get a chance to work on some of the projects like the pantry reset or some of the outdoor stuff, I will definitely film and take you guys along for that. Let me know down below in the comments, what kind of goals do you have for your home and homeschool for the month of September? Or are you simply going to sit back and enjoy the fact that it is pumpkin spice latte season again? And speaking of pumpkin spice lattes, I think I'm going to go make one. Thanks again for watching today's video, guys. Happy homeschooling.